I thank the gentleman for yielding.
History is something that we ought to try to get right. So we've heard some versions of history here, but let's talk about exactly why we're here today. We are here today because, yes, the Appropriations Committee, on a bipartisan effort, put together a whole series of bills to fund this government, one of which is the Homeland Security bill, and it's a good bill. I agree with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. It's a good bill. I'm proud to have had a part in that. But there's a piece of history that's missing in this discussion. Right after the last election, the president, well, we don't want to talk about the president, the administration stepped forward and said, well, the legislature hasn't changed the immigration laws, so the administration is going to change the immigration laws. Without any action of the legislature, they're going to ignore laws that are on the books, and in some cases been on the books for almost generations, and they're going to do what they want to do for immigration reform, which includes the proposal that somewhere between 4 and 6 million people who are in this country illegally would be allowed to be in this country with other benefits added to those. So that intervening cause is why all of a sudden the people of the United States said, wait a minute, this is not following the Constitution. This is not the way our government's supposed to run. We fought a war with a guy named King George to not have a king in this country that would just do it without legislative process. We fought a war to make sure that we follow the legislative process. And the people who are charged with enforcing the law, the executive branch, should be enforcing the law. And it became quite a tidal wave of people that were very concerned about the action. So in an effort to try to engage that fight, we came up with what's been referenced here as the Omnibus. And we withheld the Homeland Security bill as the instrument to go fight forward on. Now, once again, I say it's a great bill, and but the decision was made, and here we are. Now, we passed this bill with amendments that take on the actions of the executive and sent it to the Senate 3 weeks ago. You know, someone said once that's the greatest deliberative body on earth. Well, it may be, but this spring here, this early spring, they haven't deliberated. In fact, they haven't taken action at all, because each time the Republican leadership in the Senate said, let's go have a discussion, let's go on the floor and have a debate, and we'll accept amendments, let's go have a debate, the Democrat minority said no. We won't have a debate. 4 times they said no. Under their rules, we won't have a debate. The Republicans didn't do what the Democrats did when they ran the Senate and just waive the rules that Thomas Jefferson wrote a couple of 100 years ago. No, they followed the rules. So there was no discussion in the greatest deliberative body on earth of this particular problem. Now, are we funded now in our department? Yes, we are. We've heard cries from the other side. You're leaving this country in jeopardy because you're not going. If we close the department, which I do not want to do, if we close down the department, you put us at risk from terrorists. Well, here we are. We're saying, you're right. Let's don't close down the department. But we just got 3 weeks ago, we sent it to them. We're getting, in a few minutes, the results of their work product over there. And quite honestly, we have a dispute with them. the process. Now, I know there are many in this body who've never even seen a conference committee, because since 2006, this has not been something we've done very regularly in this body. But quite honestly, the way we do this to resolve differences is go to a conference committee. So what we're saying here is help us keep the government open for 3 weeks, kind of the same 3 weeks they had to hang around and never go to work in the Senate. Let us have 3 weeks and go to conference like we're supposed to and see if we cannot work out the differences we have between the two bodies. Now, how unreasonable is this? And by the way, if you're worried about those terrorist acts that are looming on the horizon, which they may very well be, then you better vote to continue this government today. Or otherwise, a no vote on this particular keeping the government open will shut the government. And when the government closes, all those terrible things are going to happen. So you don't want to have the responsibility of voting no to keep the government open and let the government close and then face the fact that the terrorists may be looming in the wings. Let's pass this CR, do it like we're supposed to, go to conference, work it out in the 3 weeks like the Senate had, and see if we can't resolve this issue. An issue that was started by the executive branch in their November surprise. And I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman